I've been carving up racetracks for over 20 years, chasing one specific goal. That being to get around the circuit a little faster than the guy next to me and click off a faster lap. Sometimes, however, this is easier said than done.
Come on, dance, you fat pig!
My name is Mike Musto. Each week I travel the country with the goal of showcasing the best and baddest muscle cars and hot rods around. Every car has a past and every owner a story. Welcome to the world of big muscle.
As you know, my last name is not Senna, it's not Andretti, and it's not Petty. It's Musto. And what that means is that while I think I have some natural talent behind the wheel, I also know that I've got a lot to learn before I really can get to that next level.
This is where people like David Ray come in. 10 years ago, David founded Hooked on Driving, a track organization with the simple goal of teaching people how to become better drivers by utilizing proper technique through advanced training.
My name is David Ray, and I operate a company called Hooked on Driving, which provides high-performance driving programs across the country. We've got 6 regions: California, Pacific Northwest, Great Lakes region, Northeast, Southern states, and Florida. So Hooked on Driving is about eliminating the obstacles to having people drive these spectacular cars that they make now on the track. It's not a competitive program. All cars are invited as long as they've got some kind of rollover protection. And we bring folks in with coaches, give them an opportunity to learn the fundamentals of driving at a higher performance level in a safe and controlled environment. So maybe initial issues with the car in a stock configuration is understeer. You go into a turn, you turn, the car wants to push and not bite. So the alignment can help, but certainly getting a zero toe rather than a toe in would help. Negative camber is our friend at the track, so you tip the tires in just a little bit. The other thing I probably would say is the spring rate. You can stiffen up the car and it'll be much more crisp and reactive and respond to the driver's input a lot faster. And again, that is a judgment call as to how stiff you want to make the car, because you still want to be able to drive it home.
If you're wondering why I'm not driving my 68 Charger or 69 Daytona, it's because they're old and expensive. This is a 2013 Mustang GT. It's inexpensive as far as performance cars go, reliable, and with some new legs underneath it, should make one hell of a track car.
The problem with the Mustang, as soon as you go on the brake, it just dives into the corners and kind of plows. The problem with that is it's a big, heavy car. The car's weighs over 3,600 pounds. So whenever you hit the brakes, like we're gonna do right here, the front of the nose just dives, and it's, oh my God, and it wants to just plow. Going through the corkscrew right now, you can feel the suspension compress, and you can feel the car just understeer through the corner. It's really not what you want. You know, coming down through turn 9 right here, it's pushing. You know, we gotta dial some of that out. Dropping it down again, you're gonna come on in the straightaway. One of the problems is the Mustang's got loads of power, but putting down the power isn't as easy as you want because the ass always wants to come around. Come on, chubby. You know, you gotta remember that Ford did a good job with this car, but it's not a race car, it's a street car, it's a muscle car. You know, people think that the biggest problem with the Mustang is that it's got a solid live axle. And I'll be honest with you, that's not the problem with this car. Problem with this car is that the springs are just way too soft, you know, and there's no adjustability. We're gonna see if we take care of that.
When do you modify the car? We really say get the car safe, run it in stock condition. First thing probably is gonna be brake pads and fluid. But what I wanna dissuade people from doing is immediately trying to load on horsepower or heavy handling packages that make the car handle like a pig on the street, and it's horsepower you can't use. You know, as you develop your skills, you develop your knowledge of what we're doing, you become an informed consumer, and 2 things. 1, do it incrementally and do it with a plan. Know where you're going and know what your goal is as a driver before you start blowing a lot of dough.
All right, right now we're going through the corkscrew. Hard, hard, hard on the brakes. Drop it down to gear. Turn the car in. You can see it pitch down the corkscrew. Hello, how you doing? Now we're going under the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca sign. Full throttle, just shifted into fifth. We're cresting the hump right now, and you see the car just gets sloppy. It gets real twitchy going over the hump. That's not what you want in a car that weighs 3,600 pounds. Again, it's capable out of the box, but if you want to move to the next level, it needs work. There's no question it needs work. Cortex Racing, they concentrate on Mustangs. I mean, they work on everything, but Mustangs are kind of their core competency. The reason for that is it is the most modified car in the United States. So what do we want to do? Well, we want the car to handle better. We're going to adjust spring rates, set of JRI shocks, some Cortex stuff underneath. I can't wait to see what it's going to do then.
I always liked Mustangs, and they also were a challenge to make work correctly. So I just grew out of that probably serendipitously over time, and it was available. There wasn't a lot of forethought into what, I didn't start this to become like a huge business in the beginning. So I had it and I went with it. Probably the biggest problem with the new Mustang, it's much better than previous years, but the number one problem with it is it's nose heavy and it hasn't really been refined for track use. The Mustang oversteers and understeers like crazy because it's a front heavy car with a lot of horsepower. When the front end is loaded, it understeers. When exiting a corner, it oversteers. What we do to correct that is we fix the front end geometry to better utilize the tire, and then also completely change out the rear suspension to be able to put more power down exiting. So today, when you crested the hump, you felt the back end feel unsettled and move around quite a bit. And that is the result of the soft bushings and the panner bar. We have a different mechanism, a different suspension type that we put on the back, and it's called a Watts link. And that keeps the axle centered in the car when you go through rough pavement and cornering.
It's all amazing to look at. I just really wish I knew what it did.
We're going to change the front geometry of the car by first lowering the vehicle. Then we're going to increase the camber in the front suspension, going more negative. And we're also going to raise the roll center back up. Spring choice is really critical, especially the spring rate on the front versus the spring rate on the rear. That is really what establishes if the car is going to under or oversteer. And the balance of those two is how you get the car to behave the way you want it. The parts that get put on the car, each of them is a little bit lighter than the factory component. And in the end, it adds up to a significant amount, mainly less unsprung weight, which helps the handling. Right now, the car is really nose heavy, and under braking, about 70% of the braking is done at the front and only 30% in the back. So you're not really getting a good spread. So what we're trying to do is put some of that burden back on the rear with the torque arm. Your Mustang's gonna feel a lot more composed tomorrow. You're gonna have better steering, feel, and input. It'll change directions more quickly and more accurately. And most importantly, you're gonna be able to get on the throttle earlier, which is gonna decrease your lap times because you'll be going faster at the end of the straights.
We thrashed all night on this car. When I say we, I mean myself, Zach, and Thaddeus did nothing. Well, Zach and Thad did a whole bunch, and I really did nothing except watch.
I drank 4 beers.
Thaddeus drank 4 beers. But right now, we're gonna get ready, and it's time to rock and roll, people. So now we're gonna go out with our fully adjustable suspension, and we're gonna see what we can run in a mild-mannered Mustang. Oh, wow. Oh, son! Hello! Holy crap! Dude, initial impressions on a warm-up lap are fantastic. There's no nosedive. The car turns in so much quicker. Holy cow. I don't know if, wow. Oh man, I like this. Over the hump. Wow. Yesterday the car was all out of shape and completely twitchy. Today, none of that. Absolutely none of that. Turning, the car, oh my God, you could rotate it. I could finally rotate the car without feeling it's like it's gonna fall on its face. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you do your research. This is why. When you're trying to modify a car, you need to do it based on knowledge and fact in regards to the parts you're putting on. It's just so good. It doesn't feel like a Mustang. You can see I'm getting on the power, and that torque arm lets me put the power down. If the back end doesn't want to come around anymore, it's not twitchy. The car feels so good. It's so planted. Ah, yeah, son.
Is it any better?
Oh, is it any better? It's a different, Philip, it's a different car.
Dude, it's f***ing awesome.
It's a different car.
It's like so different coming over the hump and the crest. It's like planted.
There's no body roll.
It looked pretty composed. It can't be that far off on the front to rear balance,
Dude,
right?
it felt fabulous.
Pretty good.
Dude, I'm amazed, dude.
Good job.
Oh, dude.
Good job.
Wow.
It's no secret that people have been tracking muscle cars for years. However, now, times are changing and manufacturers are gravitating more to full-on sports cars than the tire-smoking heavyweights we've come to know and love. This doesn't mean, though, that we're not allowed to have fun. The key is simple. Find out where you want to be as a driver, modify your car accordingly, and then smile wholeheartedly as you blitz your favorite racetrack at speed.
DJ Spaghetti on the ones and twos.
DJ Bolognese.
Drag racing?
Taking it drag racing or whatever.
The only way.
It's the, oh yeah, that thing gets recognized more times than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it boggles my mind, but yeah, people know it and love it, so.
Yeah, it's real.
Very cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to stop by. I don't want to.
No, thank you. No, that's cool.
Famous Musto.
Thanks.
Famous Musto. Have a good one, man.
Take it easy.